The Colorado housing market is changing. The red hot housing market is finally starting to cool down. In today's video, we're going to talk about what's going on in the Denver market, Colorado Springs market, and the Foothills market, and what to expect in this last half of 2025. I've got fresh data, fresh trends, and I'm going to walk you through what I and other experts in the area say you should expect for the rest of the year. Spoiler, buyers are gaining a little bit of power. It's not quite like 2008 yet, but as we have this increased inventory, the pendulum is starting to go advantage buyer. So stick around to the end and I'm going to give you tips if you're a buyer or a seller in this market. I'm going to give you some recommendations on how to approach this to have success. First off, before I get in talking about Denver, then I'll hit the Springs, then I'm going to hit the Foothills. Let me just remind you who I am. I'm your boy, Sean Murphy. I make videos on this channel somewhere in Colorado, all about living in Colorado. So if you're into that and you want to stay up to date on the latest videos we put out, make sure you hit subscribe. We do neighborhood tours, vlogs, pros and cons of different areas, cost of living, all that good stuff. So hit subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified each time I put up that new hotness. So the Denver housing market is finally balancing out after years of the frenzy. And this is all based on interest rates being high, prices being high, and now we're seeing a lot of inventory. What has been happening is people in 2023, were getting that sweet, dirty, filthy, gangster, low 2.5 to 3.5% interest rate. And a lot of those people, instead of selling, they're like, let me just hang out here. Maybe let me take out a HELOC loan, apply it to fixing up this house, and so I don't have to move. But now I think the pain of maybe they need to right size, bigger house, smaller house, job relocation, something like that. Now we are seeing sellers, they're giving up that low interest rate and they're putting their house on the market. So inventory is way up. In fact, in the 11 counties that make up the greater Denver metro area, 13,600 homes were for sale at the end of May. This is the largest number of homes to be on the market since 2011. Gadzooks. That's a huge change from the ultra low inventory we had back in 2021. In July, new listings outpaced the sales in the market. We had 7,300 new homes hitting the market and only 4,000 sales, meaning more homes are hitting the market than are being sold. Buyers have more to choose from and they can create a little bit more breathing room. They don't have to get all crazy with their terms and pricing. Now let's talk about pricing. So in Denver, prices are kind of holding steady, down slightly. The median list price currently in Denver is 590,000, which is down 2% from last year when it was right around 600,000. So overall, prices are holding steady, maybe a slight dip, but sellers have to be a little bit more price sensitive. They can't just put it on, name their price, or else they're going to be sitting out there in no man's land with no offers. And as you probably collected, homes are taking a little bit longer to sell. Days on market has increased, is currently 26 days as the median days on market, which is 9 days longer than last year. Some well-priced homes are still moving quickly. If it's a super sweet home, turnkey in an awesome area, those ones can still move quickly. So if you're looking in a really hot area, however, a lot of other properties are just sitting out there on the market. So I told you the median was 29 days. The average is 46. And so if these sellers aren't pricing right, or the condition or location of the home isn't ideal, they are just floating out there. It's important to note that buyers have gained negotiation power. The average list price to sales price in Denver is currently 97%, meaning buyers are getting sellers to agree to lower the price, oftentimes putting in concessions to do repairs to the home or cover closing costs, or even buy down that interest rate with a 2-1 buy down or something like that. So with this extra inventory and time on market, Buyers have the ability to be a little bit more flexible and not rush into things. They're also able to negotiate things around inspection items to get things fixed on the house, which back, you remember back in 2021 when you had to give like your firstborn and buy a house without objecting to anything on the inspection? Those days, they gone. Thank goodness. That was crazy. Overall, the market in late 2025 feels much more balanced in the greater Denver metro area. More people are selling, but with the high cost of homes and high interest rates, it's more of a mixed market that we're feeling out there right now. Sellers still can succeed. Denver is a growing market, and people don't just move here because of some type of economical boom. They're moving here for the lifestyle. But sellers definitely need to be a little bit more sensitive to how they market and price their home. I'm going to give you more tips on that at the end. Next up, let's move down south. Let's go to Colorado Springs, where we're going to get a little bit more of the same, but slightly less home prices. So we're seeing the same thing as far as more inventory on the market and homes are sitting a little bit longer, swaying the advantage still to the buyers. Just in this past July, the average home sales price in Colorado Springs was 497, which is pretty much on par with what it was last year at 500,000. So not much change there. So what I think most people are thinking with all this inventory, prices are just dropping and we're not seeing that. The average home sale price was actually 574, but that's pretty much on par again with what it was last year. So the market is kind of stagnant down there, which I think is also going to encourage more people to list their properties as they see that double digit appreciation has pretty much come to a halt. Putting some numbers to the increased inventory in July, there were 4,227 homes for sale in Colorado Springs, which is up 29% year over year. And again, this is the most homes that have been active on the market at any one time in over a decade. More inventory again means more bargaining power and more competition for sellers. You got to get it right. You got to get it right. These buyers aren't having it anymore. Sales have actually increased in the Colorado Springs market year over year. However, it's just outpaced by the additional inventory that we're seeing in the area. Monthly supply in Colorado Springs is at 3.7 months, which is still slightly below what a balanced market would be at 6%. But overall, just the vibe of things is it's turning into a buyer's market down there. Days on market in Colorado Springs has increased. Homes taking longer to sell. Average days on the market is 39 days, which is up 14% year over year. The slower pace again means that buyers, you do not have to rush in the Colorado Springs market. You can actually feel okay in most instances about sleeping on it before making a decision. Make those sellers sweat a little bit. I do think the prices in Colorado Springs are going to hold steady about where they are. It was realtor.com or one of the sites rated Colorado Springs the area that is going to see the most growth in 2025. But with everything else just being ultra cool and there being a lot of inventory, I don't see like prices jumping up and going crazy. And if people are looking to work remotely, or if they're looking for that first time home purchase, I know a lot of first time home buyers that want to live in Colorado that can't afford the Denver prices are coming down to Colorado Springs, just adding more buyers to that pool, which is another reason why I think those prices are going to stay fairly flat, but a better market overall for first time home buyers and all the VA buyers down there, because you're not going to have a ton of people, cash buyers from California, coming out here and out competing you. So I think it's going to be a good second half of the year for veteran buyers and first time home buyers, especially in Colorado Springs. Now let's talk about the Foothills market. We're going to talk about both like Evergreen, just west of the greater Denver metro area, and Woodland Park, which is kind of like the Evergreen of Colorado Springs, just west of Colorado Springs. During pandemic times, there was a great migration to these areas as people got the green light to work remotely, and people were like, if I don't have to be in the city, deuces, I'm out of here. Who doesn't want a mountain view with just elk coming up, just nibbling, right? But let's talk about what's going on. The foothills markets are cooling too, but it's more of a town to town type thing. Some areas are still hot, like Evergreen. Evergreen's median list price was around 1.1 million dollars in June, which is up actually 5% year over year. Evergreen has about 70 to 100 homes active on the market at any given time. And overall, the inventory has increased a bit, but demand for those mountain luxury homes is still relatively solid, at least enough to nudge the prices up modestly. Some homes in Evergreen can move quickly, but if you watch any of my other mountain home videos, and if you haven't, you should, there are a lot of variables to a mountain home that affect the buyer pool that's interested in that property. But the properties that have a view, great access, usable acreage, privacy, all that good stuff, those ones are still moving very quickly. But as buyers are being more picky, the ones that are one of those variables is off. Those are the ones that are sitting a little bit longer, and it's let's make a deal time, buyers. We're not seeing the same thing down in Woodland Park, a little bit smaller of a mountain town. The median sales price in Woodland Park was about 550K this past July, which is down roughly 5 to 6% from last year. And homes in Woodland Park are taking even longer to sell. The average days on market down there is 56 days, nearly 2 months for these guys to get an offer. That is twice as long as the Denver market and 17 days slower than what Woodland Park was seeing this time last year. The negotiations that we're seeing in the foothills markets are reflecting the market cooling. Woodland Park homes are selling for roughly 1% under the list price. And again, buyers are winning more with like credits and terms and having their pick, but we aren't seeing prices just drop from the list price. Sellers this year, because the market has been a little bit slower the past 2 years, sellers are getting a little bit more wise to it and not getting too aggressive with their pricing. But still, Woodland Park 1% down year over year. So if you're a seller, you just need to be a little bit more flexible. And if you're in Woodland Park, you definitely need to be a little bit more patient. There are buyers out there, but you got to listen, have your eyes and ears on what's happening to the market and the competition around you and adjust accordingly. So overall for the foothills, expect slower markets and a little bit more variability. Closer in like Evergreen, Conifer, those areas are still a little bit hotter, but areas that are further out, maybe a secondary home or people that are looking to have like short-term rental or something further out, areas like Bailey, Divide, Florissant, those areas are seeing the most cooling and price drops year over year. So if you've been dreaming about that mountain life and buying a mountain home, now might be the time for you to actually catch a break on some of these price points. Again, you don't have to be deciding overnight. You can take your pick, shop around, and get good terms and pricing. But that's why on our team, we always reach out to the seller, find out what's going on with their situation. Some people are a little bit motivated. If it is a second home, they don't have to move. They're not stressed by having that property that they owned just sit around for a while. Might be getting a little bit less negotiation power on those, but for people that do need to move, now is a great time to strike while it's hot. Strike while that pain and that sore is hot. Not talk about taking advantage of people, but I mean, advantage buyer is the theme of this video. So what's next? So as we move through the last half 2025, the consensus among experts is that prices are going to really stabilize and they're going to be deals for buyers, especially for those listings that have been sitting for over 2 months. Maybe they listed in May and they really wanted to get this thing sold before school started or definitely before the holidays. Those guys, as more inventory comes on around them, they're gonna be like, let's cut the price, let's get this done. I'm ready to make this happen. But if you're waiting for the markets to crash and prices to take a huge dive, we are not seeing that. We are not expecting that. So what you can expect is to be able to breathe a little bit easier, be a little bit pickier, and not have to give away again your firstborn to get the house, which is which is nice. Now, housing affordability is still like the big issue that is keeping a lot of buyers on the sidelines, even though prices have plateaued and there's more inventory. With interest rates still sitting around 6%, somewhere 5 to 7, it's still making it tough on buyers out there. Colorado is an awesome state. A lot of us want to get our Icon or Epic ski passes. You want to have all the toys, boys or ladies. And that just typical house payment is eating up a big chunk of your income. Other forecasters have a slightly more optimistic view. The National Association of Realtors predicts that home prices by the end of 2025 will actually rise about 3% and 4% in 2026. Although this is much, again, slower growth than what people were seeing in 2021, when we were getting 12-15% appreciation, which was banana sandwiches. How could this happen that prices are going to still be going up with all this new inventory on the market? Well, the fact is that Colorado still has a housing shortage in the long term, even with this recent surge of inventory. Many markets are still below the pre-pandemic numbers with how many people have come into the area. So even if we see more inventory coming on the market, the underlying demand will still keep those prices from just plummeting. Again, what I want to reiterate about this second half of the year, because we might see less homes hitting the market, because that's very typical as we go into the fall. There are still a lot of properties lingering out there. So it's going to be a real big advantage to the buyers. The real wild card going into the fall is going to be the mortgage rates. They did dip close to like 6% in the spring. And I see if they dip any further, it's going to have some of these prices, these home prices, be a little bit more affordable to some buyers, giving them more buying power to just help more buyers afford these homes. So if mortgage rates dip at all, we're likely going to see a little bit of a surge on the market. But again, with this much inventory, it's not going to be like the feeding frenzy of 2021. Again, thank yes. Conversely, if rates spike and go up to 7%, we could see the market cool even more. So this is going to be a part of the year that really just focus on the mortgage rates. If they go down, right, more buyers. If they go up, we're going to see even more of a slowdown, which if you're a cash buyer, I mean, that's an awesome deal, because that is exactly what a seller wants. I mean, cash is always king, but even so in this market, they would love that because they know you're not going to have a huge problem with the monthly payment. And with cash, they feel more confident about your lending. And so I think they're more likely to take a nice, clean cash deal, and cash buyers are going to be able to hack at those prices even more. New construction is another factor to keep an eye on. Builders have been ramping up incentives to sell their inventory, giving discounts if you work with their preferred lender, incentives on the upgrades to the place, buying down your rate, all kinds of crazy incentives. The National Association of Realtors assumes that new build sales are going to increase by 11% in 2026, which isn't a huge impact for the mountain markets, because we don't typically see all these builders coming in and developing a whole large area. But for areas of the Front Range, Parker, that whole Smoky Hill South area, where you're seeing a lot of new construction, I see a lot of people that are going to be opting for the incentives offered than by buyers, causing sellers down there to need to be even more careful about their pricing strategy. So to put a bow on all this, Colorado market, there are some unique niche areas that are still selling like hotcakes, but overall, advantage buyer and sellers, you absolutely have to realign your expectations with what's happening out there. You're not going to get 10 offers and 50K over asking anymore. The good news is, if you're a move up buyer and you need to sell your home and then buy another, this is a great market condition for that, because sellers are more likely to accept an offer contingent on your home selling, just because they want a offer. We actually just put one under contract just like this tonight, because the seller had been sitting on the market for 86 days, and they're like, we'll take any deal. Well, not any deal, but they'll take our good deal with a contingent home sale. So now is a good time if you've been, thinking like you need to upgrade your place, you need more room for the kids or the pups, you want a yard for the for Rover. Actually, that's not a good Colorado name, dog name. In Colorado, we name our dogs people names like Jack and Larry and Carl, stuff like that. And again, if you're a first time home buyer or a VA buyer, this is an absolutely great time. I understand prices are high, affordability is tough, but when rates were low and there was tons of competition out there, you guys were just getting your butts kicked left and right. The best time to buy a house was always 5 years ago. That's what they say. So let me address the buyers with everything you need to know about the end of year marketing. Then I'll talk to you sellers, all right? But first, sellers, get out of the room. This is for the buyers. Buyers, hey bud, how you doing? You having a good night? All right. Buying a home in a cooling market can be great if you play it right. Take advantage of having more choices. Inventory is up. Oh, what a great thing. So take advantage of that and shop around. Don't feel pressured to buy the first house that you see, and feel comfortable taking some time to compare the value and the price of this home to the competition and take those things into account when negotiating your offer. Feel empowered to make an offer slightly under asking, especially if the property has been sitting on the market for 3+ weeks. Negotiate and don't skip your due diligence. This isn't the market to waive appraisals or inspections just to get the house under contract. You don't have to be desperate. Most homes aren't receiving multiple offers, and you have the opportunity to ask for more by offering less. Ask for seller concessions to help with closing costs or to buy down your interest rate, making it a little bit more affordable for the next coming years. Always conduct your inspection objection in this market, and do not feel bashful about asking for things to be fixed, the things that come up utilizing your inspection objection. But also be ready for the good ones. There are a lot of buyers still out there actively looking, and the right home with great updates, great location, views, privacy, everything like that, those ones you'll see buyers pounce on those as soon as they hit the market. If you find a move-in ready property that's priced competitively, that one still may get multiple offers. So have your pre-approval ready and be able to pounce if you find the one that's the one. If something is checking all of your boxes, it's likely checking somebody else's boxes as well. But if you're looking for something that, you're going to put some work into, again, those ones will sit. But if you're looking for something clean, move-in ready in that awesome location, you got to be on top of it. Most new homes hit the market Thursday, Friday, showings over the weekend, and they're accepting an offer by Monday. Consider new construction, especially if you're having a hard time finding the perfect home on the existing market. Check out the buyers and see what type of incentives they have for you. Sometimes they'll give you, like I said, discounts on your mortgage rate, upgrade credits. So you can, if the home isn't completely finished yet, they might give you the options of choosing some of the finishes and upgrade finishes for free. And with more new construction homes hitting the market, you might actually be able to snag a deal on a brand new home. Sometimes a builder can actually beat the cost of an older existing home and then offer, warranties and a modern design. Don't try to time the market and wait for it to bottom out. We are not seeing the market bottoming out. So take your time, negotiate well, get yourself a good home. But if you're waiting for the market to bottom out and everything to crash, it's just not going to happen. Leverage your buyer's agent local knowledge. In this market, there are still areas that can move quickly. So if you want an awesome team like the Moxie Property Group, we cover the greater Denver metro area, the Foothills, and Colorado Springs markets. That's why I'm doing this video. These are our markets. We will be able to give you advice on hyper local sensitive data on which neighborhoods are still moving to let you know kind of the pace and what to expect. So if you are looking to buy and you're looking for a kick-ass team to help you out along the way, that's why you have to reach out to the Moxie Property Group. So give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, scroll by fence, whichever works best for you. We are here to help. We are zero pressure. Our job is to give you all the information to make the best decision for your situation. All right, sellers, you can come back in. Sellers, you can come back in. Buyers, you can stay. you're still cool. Sellers. Selling your home now is different than it was a few years ago. It's not doom and gloom. Homes are still selling, but you have to price it right with a solid marketing and presentation strategy to help you stand out amongst all the new inventory that's hitting the market. Here's how to prepare yourself for success. Price it right from day one. The number one mistake I see in this market is people overpricing. This is what you say. You say it all the time. You say, well, let's price it high and see what happens. And we can always lower the price. Do not do that, especially in this market. You're going to be out there in no man's land. Even if you have a great home, if you're sitting overpriced for a few weeks, people just lose interest. They start looking at your home out of the corner of their eye, wondering there must be something wrong with it when nothing is wrong with it. You just priced it too high and now you're sitting. So, your best opportunity to get the best pricing and best terms is pricing it right out the gate. Buyers have plenty of options right now and they're being very value conscious. So, with a team like mine, we're going to analyze not only out the gate when we're initially pricing your home. So, assuming you don't go under contract that first week, we analyze the competition every week to see what trends are happening in your hyper local area. We're going to look at every home, if you're a 4 bedroom, 3 bath, 2,500 square foot, we're going to look at all the competition that buyers also might be interested in to make sure that we're looking the best and price the best to help you stand out. Pricing your home accurately is more important than ever in this market. Next up, make your home shine. With buyers being a lot choosier, it's super important when they do come to your home that it stands out. Before listing your property, invest in decluttering, staging, and cleaning. Get somebody in there to deep clean the bathrooms, the windows, the kitchen, all those nooks and crannies that as homeowners we just walk by. Get a pro in there to get it shiny like a baby's hiney. Back in the pandemic days, any property is sold when it hit the market because buyers were just happy to get something. But now they have a lot more options. So if your home looks roughed or dingy or tired, they have a lot more options that they're going to go choose from. Now, then the next is just how the home is marketed. So promotion. There's 3 P's to selling your home. Price, we covered that. Presentation, how your home looks when they come into that. We covered that. Now promotion. So make sure you hire an agent like the Moxie Property Group that goes above and beyond with their marketing. No more iPhone photos. If I see another freaking iPhone photo agent out there, I'm not going to do anything because that's my competition and I wish them everything that they have coming to them. But we don't play like that. So professional photography, video, drone, Matterport walkthroughs, elevated experiences with EXP Luxury Brand and Zillow Showcase. We do it all for our buyers, making sure that as you price your home right and it's looking amazing when they come inside, I want to make sure every man, woman, and beast sees it in the best light online. Next, offer incentives if needed. Think about how you can sweeten the deal for a potential buyer. Maybe you don't have the money to fix something on your property, but you can offer a concession to have that carpet replaced or get the deck fixed if it's super wobbly. These are things that buyers are going to look at and they will notice. And so let's just address it up front and offer a concession that you don't have to pay for right now. It will come out of your closing costs at the end and help alleviate that pain point or that objection that the buyer sees. These concessions can also be used to cover closing costs if they're a little cash poor up front, or to buy down their interest rate, making that affordability for their monthly payment a little bit more digestible. These are super popular right now because as buyers look at the cost of the home with insurance, the mortgage payment, and the interest payment, is just a lot for them to digest. So you can make it a little bit easier for them to chew by offering concessions for that 2-1 buy down. Be flexible and patient. Don't fire your agent after you've been on the market for 1 week. Well, one, your agent should set realistic expectations, but after watching this video, you should understand the expectations that not in all cases is your home going to be selling in that first weekend. Homes are taking average 4 to 6 weeks in the Colorado market as buyers shop around, buyers are doing more showings before they actually pick the right house. So don't panic if you don't get offers in the first few days. I like to use my showings as a good signal. If you go a couple weeks with no showings at your property at all, that is a good sign that you are priced too high. If you're getting 2 to 3 showings, you're in a pretty good spot, but no showings, no good, no one's interested, no feedback. That's a very tough place to be. When you do have those showings, you want to be open to the feedback that you receive for them. Us as agents on the Moxie Property Group, we beat down the door of every agent that has shown one of our clients' properties to just shake the feedback out of them. We want to know what they liked, what they didn't like, how we compare it to other properties that the buyer was looking at, and sometimes these buyers agents aren't that great at negotiation or putting together a deal. So we're looking for, is there something that could be fixed, like the carpet or the windows or the lighting or the deck or something like that? Something that's not a deal breaker to the buyer that we can have addressed. Work with a knowledgeable agent. In a hot seller's market, pretty much any agent was able to get it done. They could put a sign in the yard and you'd have 10 offers in hand back in 2021. Now you definitely need the advice of an experienced agent to be able to sense what's happening in the market, because we're not going off of feelings, we're going off of facts of what the market is telling us. So you need an agent that understands the KPIs, the key performance indicators of the market, and what changes things. You should have a detailed marketing plan, constant communication, and feedback and recommendations on any changes that you need to make. And sometimes the recommendation is nothing. Sometimes it's like we're in a good spot, nothing else is moving. Feedback has been good for the showings. We just need to wait for the right buyer. And sometimes that's the value of a good agent, not telling you just to drop the price if it's unnecessary. And when you do get an offer, be open to it. Some of these buyers are going to offer low, but come back in a way that's going to keep the conversation going. Treat all offers seriously. Sometimes they're just throwing out a line to see if they can get an awesome deal, but they'll come up if it's a good home and they actually do want it. So I don't recommend my sellers just say, no, we're not even going to respond. Respond to the offer with at least something that makes sense and try to give a little bit. Don't just respond back at a full price offer without giving any type of concessions or terms or something like that if it's a genuine offer. And lastly, I just say stay grounded, light some incense, meditate, chill out. Don't freak out if your property doesn't sell right away. It's a different market. We enjoyed the peaks of 2000 to 2022, but those times are over. It's a different market, and we just need to accept the present of where we are. Sellers, finally, once you do get under contract, expect the buyer is going to be asking for some things to be fixed with their inspection objection. Buyers today are more likely to request repairs or credits for these issues. If you price the home well and taking care of a lot of these items beforehand, you're going to be in a better position to handle these negotiations or anything comes up when that time comes. Bottom line for sellers, you absolutely can succeed in this market. You just have to have a solid agent, solid game plan with your price presentation and promotion to get it done, get you moving on to where your next goal is, where you want to be. Right, let's focus on that. So before you guys take off, give me a thumbs up on the video if you appreciate this type of market update. The Colorado real estate landscape is changed in 2025. It's about balance, opportunity, making right decisions. Nothing is skewed one way or the other. We all need to come together, work together, and put deals together. All right. So if you have questions about your unique buyer or seller situation, reach out to the Moxie Property Group. I'm happy to help. You can give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, squirrel by fence, whichever works for you. And if you're a seller or buyer and you've had success or failure in this market, I love to hear some stories of the week, or story of the week is what I call it, WEAK. So drop those in the comment below if you have anything to add, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.